AEW Double or Nothing 2025 results. Anarchy in the arena. It was the Death Riders. It was the Young Bucks taking on Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, Willow Nightingale, Kenny Omega, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Shibata. This was an insane match, right? It had everything you needed. There was staple guns, there was thumbtacks, there was brawling into the crowd, there was 2 different songs played throughout this match. There was situations in which these guys put their bodies and their lives on the line to entertain us. Swerve Strickland had his tongue stapled. There was staple shots to the throat of various people. There was a beer bottle smashed over Marina's head. There was a situation in which Kenny Omega hit a one-winged angel off the stage to, I believe, Nick Jackson through an exploding table. The finish was Swerve Strickland putting on 2 pairs of shoes with thumbtacks on the bottom of them and hitting a double foot stomp to Matt Jackson for the 1, the 2, the 3. This was not the main event. You had 2 matches following it, but it was certainly the most memorable match of the night. Mercedes Moné, Jamie Hayter, Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament Finals. This was the opener of the pay-per-view event. You knew on paper these ladies were going to go out there and deliver, and they exactly did that. It was a fun back and forth, hard-hitting moments, and it wasn't, perfect by any means. There were some interesting spots, including Jamie Hayter pushing off of the steel steps and slipping. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. Now, in the end, it was Mercedes Moné going over with a nasty-looking DDT. I mean, Jamie Hayter absolutely sold this like she got planted on top of her head. And as a result, Mercedes Moné will go on to All In Texas, July 12th afternoon show and challenge Women's Champion Toni Storm. This is a dream match for many. It's one of the biggest women's matches in history, and it's one of the biggest matches that AEW can do, and they're doing just that. The main event of the show was actually Hangman Page versus Will Ospreay, and it was the Hanger getting her done. He beat Will Ospreay. It was a surprising finish, I will say. A lot of people thought for months now that Will Ospreay was going to be the guy to win the tournament, go to All In Texas, and dethrone Jon Moxley as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. He is their hottest star, most over stars. So I'm very surprised with this Hangman finish. I'm a little concerned that Hangman's not going to get it done, and we have to endure the Death Rider storyline a little bit longer, but that's what Tony did. We had FTR, we had Danny Garcia, and Nigel McInness. This was a solid match. I thought they went way too long. I don't think this match needed to go as long as it did. There's a consistent issue here where there's 2 things. Number 1, we're waiting on Adam Copeland to return and face FTR. That is coming at All In July. Here's another problem. Daniel Garcia. He's pretty decent on the mic. He's pretty decent in the ring. But I don't think at this stage of the game he warrants the push that he has, nor the push that he has gotten. The fans just aren't into him. Yet AEW is desperately trying to push him. I think he has something. He definitely has some type of presence, but he's not over the top in terms of charisma. At least they went with FTR going over. They kept Danny strong by not having him submit. He passed out, but there's something missing. Stretcher match. Y'all interested? Ricochet, Mark Briscoe. There was some interesting spots. Mark Briscoe just bled a gusher in this one. He got busted open, and it was one of the worst blade jobs you will see in all of pro wrestling. There was a spot where Ricochet got like the Mr. Clean effect because Mark went and got cleaner or some type of cleaning product, put it on his head, that being Ricochet's, and like cleaned it. I don't know. It was comedy. Scissors was involved. There was a spot where Mark put him through a table with an elbow. It was what it was. These guys worked hard. They kept it short, And we move on from here. Ricochet needed a win. He had not won on a pay-per-view event up to this point, so he desperately, desperately needed a win, and they gave him one. So props to him for going out there and doing his best. So it was the Hurt Syndicate defending the AEW tag team titles against Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Gavvara. And on paper, this was a match that was lame. It was just lame as ROH Tag Team Champions, and they were trying to get as much sympathy going into this match as possible. But the only problem is they knew that they didn't stand a chance, and more importantly, the fan base knew they didn't stand a chance. And so when you have a situation in which the challengers for a title stands no chance at all, it's very hard for people to buy in and really care. These guys worked their tails off. MJF was the MVP of this match. No pun intended, because he kept interfering in this match, and in the end, he actually hugged it out with Bobby Lashley, who was kind of mixed on him and everything like that in terms of joining the group. It's fun because MJF makes it fun at the end of the day, and it's all because of MJF, and the Hurt Syndicate are still over like Rover. Okada defending the Continental Classic title or Continental title over Mike Bailey. These guys went out there and put on an absolute banger. Okada's match flow is frustrating in a lot of ways because you have to keep in mind, this is a guy who can go out there and put on absolute classics, but he is not a quick match type of guy. He has to go 10, 15, 20 minutes in order to get things rolling. And when you have a guy in Mike Bailey who can pick it up just like that and pick up the momentum in a flash, it did make for a little bit of a wonky start to the match, but once they got midway through the match and especially down the stretch, they absolutely brought fire. Really good match. Like I said, just skip maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes into the match, and then it takes off from there. Go check it out. So we had Toni Storm defend the Women's World Championship against Mina, and it was a solid match, and they worked hard down the stretch, and I enjoyed it. And after the match, they kissed for whatever reason, and that was weird. But hey, if that's what you want, that's what you got. Now we know that AEW is truly building towards the biggest match possible, the biggest match that they can put on possible, and especially in the women's division, but in the entire company as well. As Toni Storm is slated to defend the Women's World Championship against Mercedes Moné, CEO, July 12th, All In. It's a match I'm very, very interested in seeing. I can 100% see Moné going over, continuing her run as the belt collector, a championship in which has evaded her, a championship she's yet to win in AEW, the Women's World Championship. At the same time, Toni Storm is their biggest female star, and Mercedes has to lose sometime, so when is it?